What's up, man?
Good morning.
It's a bit dark in here, but I'm in a box
Oh,
in this co-working space. How you doing? Did you just you woke up early for this?
yes. Yeah, it's currently 5:35 at the moment.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing that, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a bit hard to work with time zones sometimes.
hmm Yeah, you're in Australia or New
Yep,
Zealand. Cool.
Australia.
How is everything?
Yeah, everything's great.
And you're done your project now.
Yes, I've done a few projects now.
hmm
With my 52 and 52 weeks project, that first started out as a 52 experiences in 52 weeks, and
Right.
I think in 2013, did about 26 new experiences. So didn't quite get them all done,
hmm
but did quite a lot. That was one
What
every
what
second
was
week.
what was your definition of an experience?
Just something I hadn't done before. So
Okay.
it varied. I did a tandem hang gliding, went up in the balloon
Just kind of like typical kind of bucket list type
a little bit,
experiences. Yeah.
but I never liked to call it a bucket list.
hmm
So I kind of think a bucket list is sort of something you do before you're dying. I'm not planning on doing that anytime soon, so
Right.
didn't really like calling it a bucket list.
hmm
But there was some not so exciting stuff in there, like geocaching, which I hadn't done before,
hmm
which anyone can do. It's if you've got a smartphone, it's free.
Yeah, that's one of the activities actually that I try to recommend to people more often now when
Yeah,
they quit gaming because it's a community, it's a bit more engaging, it's a bit you get a bit more of that like achievement. How do you like it? Did you do it
it was
quite a bit
fun.
or
It was great. I even took my girlfriend geocaching once, and she loved it. So
super cool? And so you did like 26 experiences in a year.
yep,
You've read
that,
52 books in a year.
that was 2013. I did 26, and 2014. I actually wasn't trying to do new experiences. But I did actually get to 52.
Cool. And then the book.
Yes, and the books. I wasn't sure where to go with a website, so Mike Cernovich did a podcast on reading comprehension,
hmm
and I've always loved reading, so I figure it suits into my theme of my website.
Right. That's cool. And so now what are you doing? Another project? Is there something else coming?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of taking it easy till next year, and I'll decide another project.
Cool.
Probably starting next year.
Awesome.
So at the moment, I'm still focusing on books, and not really sure where I want to go with website at the moment.
hmm So this started in like 2013. What
Yes,
inspired you to start doing a website, start doing these projects?
yeah, 2012 had broke up with my girlfriend. That was a pretty serious relationship, and kind of feeling a bit yeah, a bit lost. Hadn't really done anything new for a while, and decided to start doing these 52 new experiences, and started doing that. At first, I didn't tell anyone. I just started doing it. Started writing up posts on Facebook, and Facebook's more for shorter, not long stories. So
Right.
kind of moved on to my own website then, and it just kind of grew from there.
Cool. Really cool. And so we got connected because you had written or referenced, I think, my article in a post that you had done. And
Yes.
then we got connected from there. We've kind of talked on Twitter. So
Yep.
you used to game.
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us a bit about like when you started gaming, what kind of games you played, a bit about that?
First started in the 80s when Atari 26 came out, and
All
Atari
right.
2600 came out. Played Space Invaders, and those games weren't too bad because there's only so much you can do in them.
Right.
But then through the 90s, the games got better, graphics got better, and actually had a lot of good stories in the games. I kind of got very much into it and would sometimes just keep playing all night till just want to finish this one level.
Right.
It's 9 o'clock. I'll just do one more thing, get this extra weapon, and before I knew it, it was like 4 in the morning, and oh crap, I've got to get up for work in 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, one of the worst things I did was start playing World of Warcraft
hmm
because unlike the earlier games that had stories, at least they ended.
Right.
With the online games, they never end. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of you keep going. And I found it didn't really bring anything positive to my life either.
You just spent a lot of time. Because I know for me, when I
Yes.
played World of Warcraft, it was like, I think part of it was because it you almost like create a world around the character, right?
Yes.
And so it does kind of relate to life in a bit of that way, and it's different than, when I was playing Counter-Strike, where it was very much like I'm just playing a match and it ends and it's done. Whereas World of Warcraft, it's like this whole world, and yeah,
Yes.
it creates a different
And then
experience.
you have guilds, and if you're any good, they go, "Oh, we need you this so many nights a week." And
Right.
I didn't get into as serious rating as some other people,
Hmm.
because there's actually at one stage people in the guild I was in, there's one guy talking about taking a year off school, off life, just to play WoW,
Right.
which I think that's kind of a bit crazy. And
It's a bit much. And so, do you game now, or you moved on?
no, I find that if I start, I don't stop. I keep going. I guess it's like anything, sort of in moderation, it's fine. But if you're doing it excessively, it's not good for your life at all. So I just avoid it.
Yeah. Was there a time that you were like, I'm playing a bit too much, I need to start focusing on other things, or did it just happen gradually?
Bit of both, I guess. There's been times in my life where I've had problems I should have been dealing with, and instead of dealing with them, concentrate on gaming because it is an escape.
Hmm.
In any case, that's not a good strategy. Pretty much always better to face problems head on and deal with them
Right.
rather than hide away from them.
Yeah, I
And
think that's been a big shift in my life for sure, is exactly that. Like, there was a time in my life where I would escape all my problems by gaming.
yes,
And when I stopped doing that, what happened was now, or in the past, when I've had a situation come up, it's been very much more my strategy has been, okay, this sucks,
mm,
but I need to deal with this in a healthy way, because I don't want this to kind of create like patterns in my life, and I need to actually like go through this experience. And it's been difficult in certain ways for sure, but I feel like my life has progressed in a much better way. And these events I've had, say a breakup or something like that, haven't had such a negative impact on my life. And instead, even though it's been painful for a period of time, it's been a really positive thing, which I can't say about necessarily breakups I had when I just escaped and gamed
mm,
for a year to forget about it.
yeah. I think the negative experiences, they can, at the time, they're pretty much always going to suck. But a lot of time you can learn a lot out of them, but not if you're trying to escape from them.
What were some of the habits that you started to implement when you started to kind of face these things head on, and start kind of improving your life? Like, were there specific habits you had, or books you read, or like, how do you approach that situation?
With books, I've always read a lot, so that really hasn't changed much at all. Not really sure how to answer that.
Okay,
I haven't
cool.
really taken notice of any specific changes. If you're gaming a lot, then obviously the time you can spend on things is going to be a lot less.
Right. So, okay, so you launched these projects. And so is there some like a goal that you're working towards? Is there something you're hoping that it becomes, or it's just kind of something that like you went through a breakup and you wanted something else to kind of focus on, and that's how it came?
It was pretty much that. I never started out as making up a website. I found with a new experience, I wanted to write about it,
Mhm.
and Facebook just is not the right medium for it.
Right.
So I just started a website, and it started from a guide from Joel Runyon's website.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Impossible HQ.
yes, that's actually got a lot of parallels with my first project.
Mm-hmm. So what were some of the experiences you had that kind of like stand out to you?
One of the ones that I consider the scariest experience is karaoke singing,
Yeah.
and people kind of laugh at that when they look at the other things that I've done. I've done skydiving, I've done hang gliding, flying a plane. Karaoke was by far the scariest one,
It's the
and
scariest for me.
yeah,
Like, I've done all the other ones too. Karaoke like freaks me out for some reason.
yeah. But a lot of people don't see that as scary, so it's sort of different things are going to scare different people.
Mm-hmm.
I chose a Frank Sinatra song,
Okay.
and it was two versions. One was the fast version, and one was the slow version, or it just said normal version. So I figured I don't want to do the fast one, except the slow one was actually, it was about half the speed I was expecting. So I kind of struggled through that, and I think, yeah, my singing was absolutely terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing we used to run these boot camps on the weekend where we take guys out and help them improve their social skills.
Yeah.
And one thing we used to surprise them with on Friday night, we do kind of like a lecture, kind of sit down and like have a discussion about kind of what to expect and some go over some theory and mindsets and kind of tactics on like how the weekend's going to go. Be walking to the club to go have these conversations, and we'd pop into this pub and throw the menu in front of them and say, pick a song. You have like 2 minutes and start a timer. And before going out to the club, before ever talking to anyone, they'd go and do karaoke. And we were always worried that it was going to be too overwhelming for them.
Mm.
But what happened was because they had gone and pushed their comfort zone in that way, first of all, they were more confident the rest of the night because they had already done that. But they also had something to talk about because they were going out meeting people being like, wow, I did karaoke tonight. Like, it was so crazy. Instead of going out and being like, hey, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
And it was a really fun experience. I remember like these guys who were, socially anxious. That's why they're working with us. And then we're throwing them on stage before doing anything else to go sing karaoke was pretty incredible. But obviously some of these experiences were like a comfort zone push for you. So how
Yes.
did you approach that? Was it something you just were like, I'm committed to doing this and that's it? Or
Pretty much, yes. Well, especially with karaoke, it was a matter of just forcing myself to do it. And I found with a lot of stuff that you fear, there's not. You can look at karaoke, and there's no rational thing to fear it. No one's going to attack you, and you're not going to get hurt doing karaoke unless you're extremely unlucky. So it's just a matter of pushing yourself to do it.
right. Cool. Okay, so a bunch of people listening to this are going to think it's a really cool idea. And part of where they get stuck is finding the things to do, right? Like,
Yep.
They're like, okay, I quit games, but now what do I do? And so I always talk with them about like starting a project and start a project, have something because it's a structured way to focus your time. So how did you find some of these things to do? Was it just you started writing them down, just anything, any ideas, or how do you go about that?
When I first came up with 52 list, I just put the first things that I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one thing I've always wanted to do is scuba dive, and I'd just never done it before, so did a course up here and went scuba diving on the Great Barrier Reef. And
Amazing.
but then there's other things where I figured I'm scared of doing it, so that's quite often that's a good reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a few other things on the list that just completely out of character for me, so just to try something different.
Mm-hmm. What's an example of that?
This isn't going to sound very manly, but got my got my nails done.
Okay. Yeah, I could see how a lot of guys would think that's out there.
Yeah, I absolutely hated it, so not doing it again. But that's the thing. I've done it. I know I hate it, so
Right.
don't need to do it again.
Yeah, that's one. I'm going through a bit of that right now because when I was in Southeast Asia, I got, I don't know if you guys call it this in Australia, but I got like an incredible farmer's tan because I was wearing a t-shirt all the time. It was so hot. And so when I'm walking around now, like, up until my elbows, the tan it's horrible, right? Like if I take my shirt off, people are like, what is going on?
Mm.
And I thought it would fix itself. Just like over time it would fade, but it hasn't. And so I need to go and like go to a tanning bed or something and fix this. But I've never gone to a tanning bed, and I've never wanted to go do a tanning bed because it's like not overly healthy for you.
No, it's
And
not healthy at all.
right, but at the same time we're here in Vancouver and it's like raining, and so I'm not gonna be able to tan naturally and fix it. And so I've been debating that, like, do I just like go and suck it up and do it or not? And I haven't come to a decision yet. But it's interesting how sometimes like going getting your nails done or going to a tanning bed or any of these things can be overwhelming in that way, even though they're like the smallest things.
Yep.
I experienced this in Europe because I was staying in a lot of hostels. And even like, you're sleeping on a bunk bed, even for me to like shift in my bed where I'd make a bunch of noise because my bed would squeak or something was really uncomfortable for me, even though we're all sleeping in like the same room and I have every right to like shift in my bed. It's not my fault my bed's squeaky or whatever. Yeah, it's interesting how like sometimes even in the smallest ways, these things can be uncomfortable. But hey, I'll go speak in front of 2,000 people on stage, or I'll go backflip out of an airplane, no problem.
Yeah. I think I'd still find the speaking in front of 2,000 people pretty scary.
Yeah, sometimes I find, I don't know if you found this with any of the experiences you had, but it's kind of like the notion of if you go to a club and you want to approach women, if you just go and approach like the most beautiful woman you can see at the club first, then everything else just seems easy, right? Or
Yep.
less intimidating. Whereas if you kind of work your way up, each one is scary. And so with speaking, it was one of those situations where like what you're doing is so far outside a comfort zone that you're just like, well, this is so insane that I guess like I have no choice but to do it. Yeah, it's not like you're gonna back out.
Yeah.
So I was committed and had no choice. But
I think it's also a thing of some of the scary things, once you start, they become less scary as you're doing them. So it's a first step. If you're in, as your example before, walking up to a girl in the club, it's the first few steps before that's scary. But once you start, it's not scary anymore.
right. So what are some experiences that you have on your list still that you're excited to do in the future?
I can't think of anything that I'm really itching to do anymore.
Cool.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer to that one.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's totally cool. I know I've written down like different experiences I've wanted to have in the past, and I've done some, and some are still there. But sometimes I just looked at this the other day because I was going through my notebooks and I was seeing things I've written down in the past, and at the time I thought it was something cool, but now I look at it and I'm like, I don't really see why I necessarily need to do that or go to that event or any of that sort of stuff. It changes over time too.
And I actually had a couple of things like that on my original list. For example, grow a bonsai tree. I heard that it's a very calming sort of thing to do, but I hate gardening, so it's sort of, I haven't done it, and it's something I've got no plans on doing anymore.
Yeah. I always wanted a dog.
Yeah.
And a couple summers ago, I was like, I'm gonna get a dog. And then when I thought about it, I knew I wanted to travel. And so getting a dog would have been like the worst idea.
Yes.
Because I just wouldn't be able to travel. And so maybe at some point in the future, but not anytime soon for sure.
Yeah. Dogs are great, but they don't really align to traveling as well.
Yeah. And just there's a lot of like responsibility and it's a real commitment, so.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty much responsible for another being's life, so
right.
It is huge responsibility.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I really appreciate your time. Where can people find you online? And if you had any advice to kind of like your 22-year-old self, what would you say?
Advice to 22-year-old myself is practice public speaking more, because that's something that's always terrified me. And I can't think of any reason. It always benefits you, and not to play so many video games.
Yeah.
People can find me at 52in52weeks.com.
Yeah, 52in52weeks.com. And you're on Twitter?
Yes, I am on Twitter. I haven't really been concentrating on making that a better account at the moment. So most of my writing's on 52in52weeks.com.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate your time, man. And it's great to finally connect.
Yeah. Thanks for talking. And yeah, it's been good.
Awesome. Yeah, let's stay in touch. I don't know if you travel much, but I'm hoping to get over to your side of the world at some point here soon. It's definitely near the top of my list. So
yes, yeah, I'm pretty much anywhere on the East Coast. I'm happy to go.
Cool. All right, man. Well, have a great day, and yeah, let's stay in touch.
Okay, thanks. See you
Thanks,
later.
man.